Hello and welcome back to the Bookshelf Odyssey. My name is Art and we are exploring my bookshelves. Today is Tag Tuesday and I'll be doing the BookTube reading habits questions. I was sort of tagged by the channel Book Thirsty, and I will make sure to link her channel down below. It's a really lovely channel, and she did this tag back in October and said, anyone who wants to can consider themselves tagged. And so I kind of chatted with her in the comments a little bit about it, about how much that I was going to do it. So she said, yeah, consider yourself tagged. So I am sort of tagged to do this. We will go ahead and take a look at what we have here for this tag. First of all, question 1, do you have a certain place at home for reading? And I do. Usually it's in my chair. I have an easy chair as the man of the house. Of course I have an armchair. And I like to do a lot of reading there, whether it's an actual book or audiobook. Sometimes I'll put on an audiobook and like play Minecraft or something while I listen to an audiobook. I also like to listen to audiobooks while I walk my dog. And then when I read in bed, I have to read laying on my left side. I can't read on my right for whatever reason. I try and it's like my brain freezes. So I have to lay on my left side, read my book. At the very least, I don't drop it on my face, but sometimes I've been known to fall asleep in a book and then drop it on the floor. Question 2, bookmark or random piece of paper? Either one is fine as long as you're using a bookmark or a random piece of paper. Don't fold your pages. Don't, stick a marker in it, whatever. You just use a bookmark. I mean, God created bookmarks for a reason, okay? Use a bookmark. It's not going to kill you. Question 3. Can you just stop reading, or do you have to stop after a chapter or a certain amount of pages? Now, this is an interesting question because I had to stop at the end of a chapter. It wouldn't really matter as far as pages go, but I liked coming to either the end of a chapter, or if it's in the middle of a chapter, if it's like a page break, there's that space and it cuts to another scene of another character, something like that. But since I've really started reading a lot of Victorian novels that can be very long, and sometimes very long chapters, I've gotten to where I can go ahead and stop in the middle of a scene or a page if it looks like that particular scene has kind of come to an end. But sometimes I'll even just stop right in the middle of a conversation. But that's usually a good sign that I'm not invested in the book. Number 4, do you eat or drink while reading? I'll drink coffee, especially, or water. I'm kind of bland when it comes to what I drink, but yeah, I'll drink without a problem. But eating, again, it's like I can't concentrate when I'm reading and eating. I can with an audiobook, but when I'm actually reading, I just have a hard time doing that. And to be fair, even with my with coffee, I'll often forget I'm drinking coffee and it'll get cold. So I have to go and reheat it or something to get it tasting good again. But I'll usually only drink while reading. Although there's been a couple books I've read that have made me want to drink, if you know what I mean. Anyway, question 5, multitasking, music or TV while reading? No TV. Why would you watch TV while reading? That's silly. Music, definitely. I love trying to find like a movie soundtrack that fits well to the book I'm reading. Like just this morning, I was listening to the soundtrack by James Newton Howard to the movie Signs, and I was reading Joe Hill's collection of short stories called 20th Century Ghosts, and the story I was reading fit perfectly with the music I was listening to, and it scared the poo out of me. I'm not going to lie. Okay. Really good combination. And I love it when you can get that together. Question 6, one book at a time or several at once. I, again, have changed in this. I used to only read one book at a time, but when I got stuck in like a longer book or a book that just I wasn't reading quickly, it would get very frustrating. So I started adding different ones so I could mood read depending on what mood I was in. So I'll routinely have 4 or 5 books going. I have to have them, like I can't read 2 cozy mysteries at once. I've tried that and it's just too similar. So I have to make sure they're very different. But yeah, if I can mix up the genres or even the styles, like hardback versus audiobook, I can jump in between stories a lot easier now. And in fact, that's part of why I'm able to read so much is I've got several books going at once, and with some of them being audiobooks, I can get through them pretty quick. But I find it really enjoyable. Question 7, reading at home or everywhere? Well, I love best to read at home, but I'll read wherever I am, in a car, not while I'm driving, but while I walk. I have an audiobook. If I've got some minutes where I'm waiting at a store or the doctor's office, I'll have my Kindle, or I have the Kindle app on my phone. I don't like to read on my phone. I don't know. I just don't like reading on my phone, but a Kindle is fine, or a regular book, whatever. I'll just have one with me always. Question 8, reading out loud or silently in your head? Well, typically I read silently in my head, but I love to read out loud. And in fact, I do that on my Christmas podcast. I read out loud. I'm going to start reading stories out loud on my BookTube channel every month. I think it's the third Wednesday. I'm doing what I call Victorian Shorts, and I'll be introducing a Victorian short story, and then reading it aloud to you and talking a bit about it. And I really enjoy doing that. Question 9, do you read ahead or even skip pages? Absolutely not. That's barbaric. Okay. If I were to read the last page of a mystery to find out who done it before I start reading the book, I won't read the book. If I get a movie spoiled for me or a book spoiled for me, most likely I won't read or watch that movie because it's been spoiled. Yeah, I want to get caught up in the story. I want the twists and turns to be revealed in time with the story, and I don't want people to spoil it for me. And even little hints can sometimes spoil a storyline for me. So yeah, read one page at a time in order. Don't read ahead. That's cheating. And then question 10, breaking the spine or keeping it new? That doesn't matter to me. I've got some books that I've read a couple times that still look brand new, and then I've got others that look like they're falling apart. And I think it gives a book personality, especially if you're the one that has read it over and over. You've put the creases in it, you've put the marks on it. That's your story. That's your book. You've claimed ownership to it. So yeah, I'm fine. If you want to highlight it, if you want to scribble in it, if you want to fold pages, I know I've kind of picked on bookmarks, but in the end, it's your book. Do what you want. Just be careful if you wanted to resell it. Maybe somebody doesn't want to buy your battered, mangled book. Although I love getting old, the old hardback books from the 1800s, early 1900s that have writing in the cover, different things, that you can find out some things about previous owners of the book. That's kind of neat. And then question 11, do you write in your books? I've tried. I watch these videos and see booktubers about those who journal in their books, who footnote it. They're writing all over their book. And I think that's a great way to interact with the book. But I've tried and I just really struggle with it. And maybe it's just not the way my brain works. I've been highlighting a little bit more, but mostly if it's a book I'm going to be talking about in depth. So I've Great Expectations. I had a copy that I was able to highlight for when I did the Great Expectations read along. I'm doing that right now for Emma. I got an edition of Emma specifically so that I could highlight in it and not highlight the one I usually read out of. And again, I don't mind if somebody does that. I don't even mind if I, buy a used copy and there's somebody else's notes in it. I find that interesting. So yeah, I guess I'm pretty chill when it comes to that. And I suppose I have to tag someone. So if you're watching this and you are, let's say you're a newer YouTuber, maybe you have only under 100 subscribers, consider yourself tagged to do this book tag, and then let me know that you've done it so I can check it out and help promote your video. So yeah, let's do that. So that's the BookTube reading habits question. Great question. Thank you to, again, Book Thirsty for doing it. I enjoyed your answers, and thank you for the conversation we had in your comments. So let me know below if you've done this tag, what some of your bookish reading habits are. I'd love to carry on the conversation down below. So until next time, remember to like and subscribe and just keep reading.